shuttles into downtown Ketchikan, if you want to call it that, are basically modified school buses, complete with customized decoration in the back. Well, we don't have a lot of time here in Ketchikan, and I can't remember the last time whether we had much time either, because we have to get aboard the ship at about 1 o'clock, and our last bus leaves here at 12:30. But that gives us an hour and a half, somewhere in there, and since it took us only an hour to circle Sitka, I think we'll do just fine here. All right, so I think we have a rough idea of where we're headed. Just kind of follow the signs, see where we go. It is kind of funny that we started with our first port advertising its crab, and we're ending in another port that advertises its crab. I mean, it is the Pacific, and they do have that up here in the Arctic, but it does sort of bookend the trip, doesn't it? Anyway, it looks like we've made it to the old town, downtown part, Ketchikan. Granted, its claim to fame isn't one that Daniel's too keen on, but it is what it is. I'm afraid we're kind of racing through Ketchikan at the moment, trying to make a point of going through places like this to stop and smell the roses, as it were, or maybe it's the rhododendrons, not sure which. We'll be able to take it a little more leisurely on our way back, I should think, once we get to where we're trying to get to. Which is to say, Creek Street, the old red light district of Ketchikan. Nowadays, it's mostly restaurants and museums, rather than its old purpose. And if I'm not mistaken, we're on the Married Man's Pathway, which is basically the back end of Creek Street, where the married men would take it so they wouldn't get caught walking around heading towards this district. Of course, the red light district has long since been gone, since about 1954 or so. But prior to that, there was nearly a half century where it's like regulated and taxed, because let's face it, government makes money from vice just as much as anybody else does. If you can't prevent it, might as well profit from it. Of course, they eventually did manage to prevent it once the governments determined that tourism could be more profitable than, well, this industry, and they didn't have to put out as much effort, pun intended. It would seem that Alaska is more than willing to laugh at itself, both its history and its climate. So definitely a bit more to this city than in Sitka, but I think we're basically outside of the interesting parts. We're going to stick with the more colorful, and I do mean that literally as well as figuratively, part of town, because of the unlimited amount of time that we have here. I love the fact that this thing's referred to as Chief Johnson's Pole. I'm not sure if he's a fellow Swede or anything, but it's quite the staff. It is something of a shame that we don't really have the time to find out the stories behind everything. Our guide at Potlatch Park told us about how several different birds generally appear on these totem poles. The eagles with their curved beaks and the raven with the straight ones. But I'm not sure about this top one. This particular bird looks like somebody different. And wouldn't you know it, when you take a look at the sign next to it, there isn't one. Seems a bit of a pity, but that's the way things are sometimes. The place here has all manner of fish, 5 different types of salmon, octopus, but I don't think they have any bear. Pity. Which is a shame given their greeter here outside. To be honest, we've done our souvenir shopping in Ketchikan at the Totem Pole Park, but we do want to wander around and take in the place. They don't have traffic lights here as such. They basically just have crossing guards, and that seems to do it for them. And there's maybe about a block or so more before we're going to turn around. Well, it looks like we've gotten to pretty much the end of the docks and everything. So we've got a little ways to go before we get back. And still a few more places to see before we do so.
We just got off the ship. Did you guys
a handful more in the way of shops. Daniel tells me that when we were here last time around, we rode on one of these cable cars. I guess trolleys they'd be here. I don't remember it, but I'm not going to contest his memory up against mine, that's for sure. Okay, it looks like we've gone through most of the wharf area, so we're going to be making our way back to the ship. But first, seems to be a bit more to Ketchikan on this side of the tunnel. In fact, this is where we pick up our shuttle. Well, this section is mostly just clothing stores and a few souvenir shops. It's not quite as touristy as the other side of the tunnel, but either way, there's not a whole lot to pull us inside, which is probably just as well, because I'm actually running out of cash on hand, although I imagine they accept credit cards, and we're also running out of time, so time to get going. The interesting thing about Alaska, especially our last couple of stops, has been the fact that they are sticklers for crossing where the crossings are. You don't go across an intersection where it doesn't have either the two white lines or a zebra crossing. I mean, I get why jaywalking's a problem, but sometimes when you get to an intersection and there's nothing painted on the street, it seems like it should be okay to cross, but no, you really have to only cross where it's marked. I'm not sure why, but I mean, we're gonna follow the rules here best we can. Anyway, it's time for our bumpy ride back to Ward Creek, and wish us luck. So this is it, the end of the line. We are coming into the old mill and just maybe wandering about a little bit before we head on into the ship and call it a day. It's been a short day, so it feels like we need to be doing something a little bit more, but it does feel like also we've seen everything that we need. Well, the man with the speaking staff is not going to be doing any speaking anymore, and so for him and for us all, it's goodbye Alaska, and we're on our way home. That's true, this is the last time we board this thing. I mean, everything has a last time, and this is that time, I guess.